What's going on, everybody? This is a special episode with me and my man 12 Kyle. We'll discuss Biggie's documentary. I got a story to tell. We're talking about Big, everything he went through. Rest in peace to Biggie. This audio quality and everything with the Zoom didn't work out as much as we had anticipated. I thought about making Kyle redo it, but man, our conversation was so organic and so good that even though some of the quality will come in and out and was a little scratchy here and there, I think what we talk about when it comes to Notorious Big was more than worth the conversation that we had. So just letting you all know off the top that is definitely some audio quality isn't as typical as we would have normally. But me and Kyle got some whole bunch of other stuff we're gonna do. We got a Source Awards one we're gonna do as well. So definitely check this out. Let us know. Hit us up as always, and we appreciate you as always supporting the SOLC Network. And check out 12 Kyle's podcast, 12 Kyle podcast as well, everywhere that he is at. And we'll look forward to hearing what y'all think about this episode. Talking about the great Notorious B.I.G.
Who y'all talking to, man? Check it out. Check it out. This here goes out to all the niggas that be fucking mad bitches in other niggas' cribs.
Whatever you want to
All right,
call it.
welcome to my man Kyle, man, is with me, man. We're just going to review Biggie's I Got a Story to Tell documentary, talk about a little bit of hip-hop. Man, me and this brother, man, had an idea similar to this in a podcast format. And it's to talk about the Source Awards in a 4-part series. But I figured, if we can bring that and incorporate it into this and talk about just that time with Biggie, because it wasn't that long a time. We're talking about, 92 to 97. So 5 years, if you consider, and Kyle from the 12 Kyle Show, everybody go subscribe to him. Do you consider Biggie from Party and Bullshit / Dolly My Baby? Is that when you kind of,
Yes.
and that's like 92, right? 90 Dolly My Baby was 92?
that was like 90, late 92, early 93, I think.
Okay. Did Dolly My Baby come out before Party and Bullshit or after?
No, Party and Bullshit came out first.
Okay.
But I didn't hear that until after I heard Dolly My Baby. Dolly My Baby was the first Biggie. And I remember, and it's funny because like I have I think that I played with in college at South Carolina State, that he had the cassette single. Remember back in the day we had the cassette
you
singles?
already know.
He had the cassette he had the cassette single of Dolly My Baby, right? So he was playing, he's like, hey, let me play this for you. So he let me play for me. I was like, okay, man, it's jamming right here. And so it's just a single. So that's it. So you got one side, and then I think on the other side it was like instrumental, one in the back, right? And I just, I paid it. I didn't know anything about anybody. I knew it was Super Cat. And so this dude at the end, nice. And so I remember my boy gave me the tape, and I never gave it back to him. And we were warming up for a game. And I'm like, man, we about to play. Why you asking me about your tape? He's like, man, you got my. I just want to know if you still got my tape. I was like, yeah, it's in the dorm. And I never gave him the tape back. I never. I love Biggie is nasty. And then after that, I heard Party and Bullshit, and I was a fan right after that.
Hey, that Party and Bullshit, man. People don't understand. Like that was just like, it just, and then we had a time period, and it's interesting. And we can jump into the doc, but there was a year time period we didn't see or hear from Biggie at all.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he was kind of laying low, in between. I think it was like when he was in between the albums.
Yeah, and he went to North Carolina and stuff, and that's when he got popped with the whole situation with was it when he caught the gun charge with D-Rock?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then what's even funnier is I was thinking about within the Confines documentary that I think people talk about is Craig Mack was really was the precipice of Bad Boy originally.
Yes.
And people don't understand because Juicy didn't hit like Flavor in Your Ear did.
Flavor in Your Ear, yes.
Now people love Juicy. Juicy did not hit like that.
Nah.
Biggie didn't pop till Big Papa.
It was interesting because, and I think I've talked about this on my podcast before, but what's interesting is like you see the parallels a little bit, and like Craig Mack was supposed to go first, and he was supposed to be that Puff was supposed to ride, and then Biggie was supposed to come behind him. But like you said, Big Papa hits and it takes off. And Puffy just kind of, I forgot about Craig Mack, but Craig Mack got left behind. Remember, back in the day, they had the promo, and if
The
you
Big
can
Mac.
search Google, Big Mac, right, the little Big Mac container or whatever like that. That was like the little promo joint because they wanted to feature Craig Mack and Biggie Smalls, and like you said, Juicy takes off, and for lack of a better term, Craig Mack gets left behind, and you see Biggie become this superstar. And Craig Mack, I think he went on to record 2 more albums after that, and then he went off and
Yeah, because you gotta think what the singles after Flavor in Your Ear was Get Down and then Making Moves with Puff.
Yep, that was it.
And I love Making Moves with Puff. That was my little joint.
Yeah, Making Move. Yeah, yes,
that was my joint.
That joint still bumps. But so their careers went on 2 different levels, and then obviously Biggie gets killed or whatever like that. But yeah, you took me back with that. Yeah, Craig Mack was supposed to be the lead guy for Bad Boy, and it ended up being Biggie.
And so it was crazy. So I was listening to a podcast with Tawatha AG, and she was talking about from M2 that sing Juicy.
Yeah.
And they didn't even know that what was even going on with that until they heard, and they was like, so they thought it was them, that they actually sampled them for the song, but it's really Total.
Wow.
It's more Pam, I believe, more than anything. I think Pam is the, and then she was like, is that me on it? She was like trying to find out, like try to get her a check. Like,
I don't blame her.
And she said, she was like, she would have sung it herself for them. Like, if they'd have asked, I was like, that'd be kind of dope.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, because that single was, it was everything, and it was something that was on constant, on the air as far as airplay. That was on black radio, was on white radio, was on top 40 radio, TV, BET. The videos were everywhere. So that really kind of helped Biggie into superstar status where we knew him to be.
And we're heads, man. So we always, at least me, I'm always a stickler for the different documentaries I see about stuff. Like,
oh, no question.
They forgot about this, and this. Like, they don't they hardly ever mention to me that Biggie's first single was supposed to be Machine Gun Funk.
Now that I did not know.
Oh, you did not know that?
I didn't know that until just now.
Biggie wanted Machine Gun Funk to be the first single.
Wow.
Machine Gun Folks will be the first.
I guess
because it was a lyrical, Biggie is, on the I'm trying to be rhyming. He was like, and Puffy come in with all these samples and shit, like, he got the Ozzy Brothers, he got M2, and he's got actually Biggie's first 3 singles are all samples, and then The Barge.
And that was the way Puff was going, So in that aspect, based on what you just said, yeah, it does make sense to lead with, these R&B heavy singles as opposed to Machine Gun Funk. Machine Gun Funk ain't gonna get it's not gonna get airplay on the radio, like, especially back then.
Yeah, that's
I knew that. I never. Boy, you learn something new every.
Look, he'd have been just like Crew.
Oh man.
But even though that Crew album, people sleep on that Crew album. That Crew album was pretty dope.
Oh yeah, I liked it.
So what do you overall think of the documentary, man?
Much like you, man, I love watching documentaries, and I love, being able to watch a documentary and find something that I didn't know prior to watching it. And so I enjoyed it. I really did. At first, I was a little skeptical at first when I heard about it, because I was like, oh, here we go, another Biggie doc. Same with Pop.
Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, what are we gonna see that we haven't seen? But what was interesting about this one is that obviously we're getting the stories from the people that knew him best, and the stories from the people that loved him. And it wasn't this, glitzy glamour Hollywood type of thing. It was just some regular dudes from the neighborhood, his mom, his wife, the trumpeter. The guy that plays saxophone.
That was ill, though. Trying to figure out how to get that story. That was ill.
I thought so too. But I really enjoyed it, man. I think one of the things that really surprised me, and I kind of knew it in the back of my mind, but tracing his roots back to Jamaica. Like, I knew his mom was Jamaican, but I didn't. But you got to understand, like, I never knew or heard his mom until after he died. So, like, I never equated Biggie with being from or having ties to Jamaica. I mean, like, he has the one song on Respect on the first album that, you know, it has that patois sound or whatever like that, but he doesn't give off anything that would lead me to believe that he's Jamaican or has Jamaican ties. So seeing that story and hearing about how he went back and how he would go back to Jamaica and how he was beloved and hanging out with his uncle, you could kind of visualize him being a child from New York. You know, I'm pretty sure he got props from New York going to Jamaica, you know, and just being able to spend time with his uncle and his grandmother. Those genuine stories, we don't get those stories. And, you know, obviously when Biggie was a superstar, we didn't get those stories. And you didn't get those stories even when he died, to be honest. So I thought that part of the documentary was really intriguing to me because it gave me another chance to see a different side of Biggie.
Yeah, Biggie is man, like it's just interesting in general, period, when we look at his whole life, that we're even more than him than Pac, because I think we got really a lot more time with Pac as an artist over a longer period of time. I mean, what Brenda's Bad Baby is what, 91?
90,
92?
yeah, that's
91, 92?
Came out in 91. Came out in 91.
So you think we had 5-6 years with him. Biggie, we get really 94 to 97?
Mm-hmm.
Of like,
yeah, you know what's interesting? They both, Biggie and Pac, man, they were, and you don't really think about it because like Biggie is like 9 months older than me, right?
Yeah.
So, and we didn't have the internet back then. So when Biggie was killed and when Pac was killed, I was in college. So I didn't know how old they were. I mean, like you hear them, oh yeah, you know, he died at 24, whatever the case may be. Like you just don't, you don't, it almost doesn't register because they seem much larger than life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was really interesting too, as far as what you were talking about.
Yeah, because I was like, because it was like, man, like you think about all this stuff big, and it's just so crazy, the small little idiot secrets of him. Like one of the things that people don't know, and you probably know, is that he couldn't drive.
That was funny.
Like I mean, it makes sense.
Grown man can't drive.
But I mean, like you never learn how to drive.
Never. That's crazy.
Never learn how to drive. Like that is just crazy to me. Like, yo, like you just never learn how to drive.
But you know what? In New York, you probably could. You know,
yeah, 100%.
You would have to. You know, you grew up in St. Louis. I grew up in South Carolina. It's not, you know, in South Carolina, you had to, I mean, like I was driving at 14, you know, so you were driving, you know, in St. Louis too, you know, so it's like, but think about it. If you would, I mean, either way, you at some point you're going to passage, but I mean, in a major city like that, I can understand, but I mean, you would think that, especially once he got to the point where he could buy cars and afford all this stuff, that he still couldn't drive. That's funny to me.
Yeah, I just never got. I mean, I was just like, dang, he never learned how to drive. Like at some point, I guess he's 25. I mean, it's like, yeah, like you just hitting the subway, you just footing it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Or somebody coming to pick you up.
Yeah, and to me, Puffy has lived a privileged life, man. Like in general, like he just happens to be at the right places at the right time at all times.
Man, listen,
that might be a superpower. I don't know if it's whatever it is, but it's like you were at Uptown, you know, doing your thing. Really, Uptown is kind of falling off a little bit when he's getting pushed out because Jodeci isn't as hot as anymore. It wouldn't know Jodeci was still hot, but it's not like when Uptown was Uptown when you had everybody there, and he really kind of put people on. And I wonder if Andre Harrell, what I'm saying is, I wonder if Andre Harrell regrets putting him out because he could have brought those. He was bringing those artists over to Uptown.
Right. I would think that he would have regretted it, and you know, obviously they didn't get into it in a documentary. And to be honest, I know there's a story behind it. I don't know what the full story is, and I don't know that
it doesn't seem real. The one like it can't be two lions. That don't sound like it was. It sounds like it's something. It's got to be more than that.
Exactly, and Puff at that time had overcome a lot. Like he was, he was this budding producer and party, but he started out promoting parties. And the first time I heard of Puff Party in New York, where it was in a gym or something like that, and they oversold the gym, and then like some bleachers or something.
That was a heavy D. It was a heavy D charity thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And people died.
Exactly. That was the first time I heard of Puff, and I'm like, so he had this rep for, throwing parties and stuff like that. And then when he got to Uptown, it was about, artist development and stuff like that. And for him to, the way that he found me per se, through the unsigned hikes, knowing somebody who knows somebody, and which they documented in a documentary. I think it was amazing, really, for Biggie to basically fall in his lap. But at that particular time, I mean, New York rappers probably came a dime a dozen. So,
yeah, 100%.
I'm pretty sure.
But my thing is, I always wonder about how Biggie didn't end up at Loud Records, because Loud Records stayed up in the unsigned high section signing people.
Man, listen, Loud. And if you were a rapper, I mean, somebody who could really, really spit, I would think that you would end up at Loud.
They stayed in that unsigned hype. I think every damn near unsigned hype that was good went to Loud
all the time, man. And those dudes, most of the dudes that were at Loud that were on that roster ended up becoming, really good MCs. In that particular time, that was and at that particular time, particularly for those of you listening and watching, the source was everything for us. I mean, there was no internet. The source was
everything.
They call it the hip hop Bible. It really was. I mean, I probably say the same thing. There were albums that I would buy based on what was reviewed in the source.
I'm talking sight unseen.
Sight unseen, unheard. I'm going to copy.
I never heard Royal Flush until I bought it. I just bought off the strip and the features. Like, oh, man, snap, he got Capone Noriega on here. He got Akhenaten. Okay, well, I guess I'll get it.
Sight unseen, unheard. If the source gave it 4 mics, I was going to get it.
Yep.
Period. And the few times, and here's the thing, folks. The thing that was always interesting about the source was, if there was an album that it was rumored that was going to be getting 5 mics, people would lose their mind. They would. Yep. I remember bomb threats because people were like mad because and keep in mind, they haven't heard the album yet, but it's just the fact that if you stamped your album as a 5 mic album, that meant that your album was one of the greatest albums of all time. And people couldn't wrap their head around, the fact that, a team of people came up with this idea that this album was basically a classic and a masterpiece. And so, with that, for Biggie to go through all of that to get to Puff, it really is amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, because even when you're talking about the 5 mics, I remember when Aquemini got 5 mics before it came out. And that's the one that I remember when it was like, yo, I went to get it at midnight on the money, and it was a line around the block. You'd have thought Tupac had died. It was that many people because the source already gave it 5 mics.
I remember, I don't even know if it got 5 mics, but I remember when Snoop album came out, Doggy Style in '93. They're literally, and albums normally would come out on Tuesdays.
It was Tuesdays, yeah.
They pushed it up to like a Friday, and same like you, D. I went to the record store. Shout out to record stores, which no longer exist. And I go to the record store at 55, and there was literally a line of at least 100 people, and it was like out the store. I'm like, man, all of that, and everybody was coming to get Snoop. Because here's the thing, I kind of want to phrase this for people who may not who weren't around then or who might just be a little bit younger. It wasn't like you could go press in your Spotify or your Apple Music to play something. When it came out and it sold out, you weren't going to get it. Like, you were going to have to literally wait. You might have to wait a week. You might have to wait 2 weeks. You might have to wait a month. But it was imperative that you got the album the first week that it came out. The greater albums, I should say. You had to get it because the last thing you wanted to do was, if I got the album and you didn't get it, then you're gonna feel left out. You know what I'm saying? So that was a time, man. That was a
You ain't
time.
heard number 4 yet? Like, I ain't heard it yet, man. It's like for us now to give people a good analogy. It's like when a TV show and you ain't seen it yet. That's how it was for those that are like, yo, dang, you ain't seen WandaVision yet? You like, dang, I ain't seen it yet. They don't tell me, man. You be like, don't tell me, man. I'm gonna get to number 4.
Exactly. And you were, and it made it even worse to that if the album was great and your boy had it and your other boy had it and you didn't have it and you call in the record store. Imagine calling the record store like, yo, y'all got that Doggy Style in? Nah, man, we probably won't have no more shipments until Thursday. And it's Saturday.
Hey, can you hold me one? Can you hold me one? No, we don't hold CDs. Then you know what I'm saying? Like, so you like, no, we don't hold CDs for them. Like, damn. You calling around the area like, yo, can you hold me one? No, we don't hold. Damn.
Right. Calling around, can you hold my CD? Wow.
Because that was right when those Blockbuster music started jumping off too. Where you could understand you could preview the CD beforehand. And if I remember, they wouldn't let you preview Doggy Style. You had to just buy it. It was like, because cats, at least I know in the St. Louis, cats was jacking them. So you couldn't do the little preview joint because it's like, you already know this is hot. You finna get licked. No, you only can buy this.
Nah, Doggy Style, you had to get it because there was nobody hotter. I think that album, if I'm not mistaken, the album sold like 850,000 copies in like 4 days. It was something crazy copies in less.
He's the most popular rap artist for a period ever. And I think that's the way he was running at the time period. Like, I think there's nothing that we'll ever see like that ever.
No, because he was coming off Snoop was at that time, Snoop was coming off the heels of, and I don't know if we're getting sidetracked, but he was coming off the heels of.
This all making the same thing. Because Biggie had a different rise than Snoop. Snoop had literally the LeBron James flow with it.
He did. And Biggie, by the time he came out, like everybody wanted a piece of Biggie because that album, like you said, it was the radio friendly. And then, Biggie was a dude that, dudes wanted to be like him. And he had this kind of charisma where the chicks kind of like was checking for him. Even, he's big, most attractive looking guy, you know what I'm saying?
He had a little swagger to him,
He had like Heavy D had a swagger, but Biggie had a swagger for a big dude that was just like a little.
It was more street. It was like Heavy D was street, wasn't as street as Biggie. Biggie had that street vibe too.
Definitely.
That was swag. Heavy D had like the cool dude I know from Mount Vernon I hang out with. Biggie had that BK,
no question.
If I need to go fight, he'll fight with me too.
Right,
Heavy did be like, man, well, we could just call somebody else. Not saying that recipes of Heavy D. I'm not saying that.
No doubt.
I'm just saying to give people that vibe.
No doubt.
I need to get the boys. He'd be like, I need to get the boys.
I need to get Eddie F and them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you about was there anything that you would have liked to have seen that you didn't see?
At this point, I'm so frazzled by all the documentaries that I try not to go in with my preconceived stuff. I wish they would actually talk more about him and Charlie Baltimore's relationship at some point.
Okay.
Because in his car accident, she was in the car.
That I didn't. I thought it was just him and C.
No, she's in the car too.
Well, what? We probably didn't know that she was in the car because I think
he was still married, right?
She might have been,
right. But I'm saying, but the influence that because you got to think he's pretty wild at this time because Biggie was wild because you got to think about it. So the chick you make her look like she's Faith in the Get Money video. She's in the car with you when you get into an accident. So on the police report, it says 3 people in the car.
I never knew that she was in the car, D.
She's in the car. Even in the Biggie movie, they show a girl in the car even in the Biggie video, the movie.
I remember seeing that.
But go back and look at the old source articles. Charlie Baltimore talks about that she was in the car. If you look at interviews and stuff with her, she was like, I was in the car with Biggie when he was in an accident.
Okay. Wow. I
So
never
he
knew
was
that.
already grooming her to be like the next Kim. So you got this whole like he's got 3 different women he's dealing with at the same time.
Yeah.
Think about this,
Now,
dude. I'm talking about like he's got Charlie Baltimore, Faith, and Little Kim all at the same time. And he probably lied and said he wasn't with Charlie Baltimore when he got into this car accident.
of course he did.
Like the problems that he was going through sitting in the hospital, he wasn't worried about and shout out to you, Kyle. You came on the episode when our first podcast when we talked about a homeboy from Arkansas. The same situation. It was the same situation. Same situation where it was
My
like
man, the
you ain't
coach.
Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino, right?
And that's how Biggie was. Biggie was like, yo, waking up from his little thing, like, yo, does Faith know? You be like, dude, are you okay? Does Faith know?
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Did my wife call yet? Nah.
No, she didn't say nothing.
I would have I would not have. Now I did notice, and I'm like you. I don't. I come into those type of things with no type of preconceived notions about what I'm gonna see or what have you. I noticed that Kim didn't get interviewed.
Oh, good point. Good point.
That made me wonder why. And I know Puff executive produced it.
But I thought they
I'm
were good
assuming,
though.
yeah, they cool. I don't think that they have any issues. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think Faith and Kim are cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking
I
everybody's pretty cool. You know what?
so I don't
I
know.
think it's his mom, yo.
Oh, she don't
Because
like
his
him.
mom is the one that pushed for Notorious to play Lil Kim. And Kim didn't want Notorious to play Kim. I know that.
Who did Kim want Kim to play?
No, she was Kim. If you go back in the interview, she was saying like she wasn't consulted at all about who was getting casted, how she was being portrayed, and she was upset about that.
I thought she did a
Notorious
good
did a
job.
great job. She probably was the best person in there for real acting to me.
Yeah.
It felt like, even though she's dark skinned, it felt like it was Lil Kim.
Man, and I don't know. I mean, like, and I don't know how Kim doesn't even look like how she used to look.
Nope.
Kim, when Junior Mafia broke onto the scene,
I love Little Kim, dude. I was like a Little Kim fan.
Man, listen. And it's crazy because like I just remember, and I bought the Junior Mafia album. And
of course, I bought the Junior Mafia album because look, mentioning 106 Jams again. I heard Backstabbers on the radio. Wow. It was late at night, and I was like, "Yo, this song is ill. What is this on? This is like they did like mixtape type of feels like it. And I'm like, oh, it's so I'm getting this Junior Mafia. And the rest of the album was trash, but that Backstabbers was hard.
Yeah. They had like 3 or 4 joints, and I would not. But yeah, I noticed that's probably my only thing that I wish I could have seen because I would look at it. But she wasn't on it. But other than that, I think they covered all the bases. It was interesting to hear. I know like the Chico guy, I know that he was in the streets.
Yeah,
it was interesting to hear, it was interesting to hear, about how, these guys ran. And but I know just from interviews and even Biggie talking about them on the records, D-Rock, that was somebody he was close to. Mark Pitts, that was somebody he was close to. And his boy that got killed.
I never knew the story about O. I knew he talked about O a lot on records, but I never knew what happened with O.
He was the one that was kind of pushing Biggie and championing him and pushing, it was kind of really just put the batter in his back to rap. And if who knows if O doesn't get murdered, maybe Biggie, because Biggie had 1 foot in the streets and 1 foot, in the street. And so, I don't know if things go another way. Maybe he doesn't become because there was some time in between partying bullshit and the time that the album finally came out or whatever, like, or in the process. It seemed like a short time for us because it seemed like we went from 1 song until to the album coming out almost about a year's time. So
that's right.
He blows and then he blows up and people don't talk about it, but he had a publishing deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's publishing to Puffy for $500,000.
He sold all his
And
publishing
so,
to Puff for 500,000.
yes, yes. I don't know if it was all of his publishing, but he sold his publishing, a portion, if not all of his publishing, to Puff for 500,000. So that's why Puff is the executive producer of just about everything that Biggie has been on, because Puff is, he's gotten money. Now, to my knowledge, and it's what has been documented, he has always, given money to Miss Wallace and their kids or whatever like that. So it's not like he's just hoarding the money or anything.
Yeah.
But they didn't that particular the time in between Biggie blowing up and then getting a deal and his deal and Biggie really just kind of taking off. Yeah, he had a publishing deal that he didn't have. I think it was a case where, you know how it was back in the day in the industry, where your album comes out, and even if you're on the radio and you're getting all of this money and stuff like that, the money from your actual album takes another 6 months to a year. So I think he needed some money to kind of float him. So yeah, he sold his publishing to Puff.
Damn. I know they said when he was ghostwriting for people, he would just take the cash and not want any credit on the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just give me the cash and he would walk out.
Yeah, he did that as well, because he wanted to make sure that he was taken care of, and obviously he had his daughter, and then him and Faith got together, and then they had their son or whatever like that. So he was still hustling. He was not hustling as far as like in the streets, but he was hustling as far as his money was concerned. It's it's just like anything else, especially when it comes to like Big and Pac. Watching documentaries like this, you get a deeper appreciation for who they were, especially hearing from the people that knew them best.
Yeah.
But it's also a little sad they're gone. And it's like, for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, his murder still hasn't been solved. Everybody know
who it was.
You know what I'm saying? They know who it was. And real quick story. I went to LA from this past December for my birthday, right? And I talked about it in the podcast. So I'm just riding around LA. I'm not even paying attention. And I was on one side of LA, and then I came on to this other side. So I was headed back to my hotel. I'm driving down Wilshire Boulevard, right? And I come up on this sign says something about the museum's next couple of exits, the next couple of stoplights or whatever. So I see the sign, so I'm like, okay, I'm driving. So I'm not paying any attention. And so I pull up at this light, and it says Peterson Automotive Museum. And I'm like, damn, why does that sound familiar? Like, I still can't figure it out. And I'm driving, so I drive to the next light, and then it hits me. Peterson Automotive Museum is the place where Biggie had the party and where he got murdered. And at that particular time, when I realized it, I was sitting at the light where he got killed.
And then you look up and you like, this is where he got shot at.
Right. I was like, I couldn't believe it. It freaked me out. I was like, damn. I didn't need to be where I was. It was a Friday afternoon in LA. Streets were relatively quiet. It wasn't like it's not like it's in it's a nice area of LA, but it was just mind-boggling for me to be where Biggie was. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't have planned it. It was just it freaked me out.
If you go on YouTube, man, you can see the last 45 minutes of the party. Somebody put the video up of it. So what's crazy is, and then they point out people. So like they'll show Genuine circling, and you put the thing and say Genuine, Missy.
Okay.
And always the party wasn't even cracking like that.
What?
No, dude. It's online. Somebody put up a video of it on YouTube. I saw it maybe a couple years ago. And it's the last 45 minutes, and they show Biggie walking out the club, the party, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even cracking like that. It was a whole bunch of space in the middle of the middle of the party.
Damn.
It wasn't even cracking like that to be up in there. It ain't like how I looked in the movie where it's like, at least maybe it was towards the end. I mean, I don't know. This is the last 45 minutes of the party, so it could have been like people let out and was doing their thing. But it didn't seem like you would think that this party would be like off the chain. Mm-hmm. It wasn't. It was maybe like 20 people on the dance floor. It was spacious out there, and you like, wow, okay. And then they show Biggie leaving, and like in the background, like, oh, damn.
So where were you when you heard that Biggie was murdered?
Man, what's crazy? I was in DC for a thing for a school trip. I was in my junior year. Was a sophomore. sophomore or junior
Okay.
high school, and we went to DC for a school trip, and it was because that was Saturday night. Sunday morning, I woke up and it was some girls screaming, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" This so people understand you didn't get news that fast like that. I literally went to bed. Biggie been dead about 12 hours before I found out.
Right.
And they was like, "Yo, turn on MTV, turn on MTV." We were at the hotel, the school. I mean, for the school, we all turned on. We getting ready to fly out in like an hour or two. Everybody's just crowded around in my hotel room. Like cats is coming in there, like, "Yo, Biggie's dead." It was Kurt Loder, doom doom doom. The Kurt.
Yeah.
And he come in, he like, "Yeah, the Notorious B.I.G was shot and killed last night and died at Mount Sinai Hospital." I'm like,
Yep.
"What? No."
Yeah.
And I had to sit on a whole plane flight back to St. Louis, sitting there like, for real?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's and it happened like that for me, man. I remember that Saturday night. I was telling my girl, now my wife, and we had an apartment together. I was out of school, but I was. He passed. You had
just graduated then.
I just graduated. I was about to move here to Atlanta. I moved here in July, and so I'm getting myself together. Got my resume and all the stuff because I think I had an interview like earlier that week. My first interview with a company here, and I went to bed. And I remember watching videos, and one of the last videos I remember seeing was hypnotized video. So I go to sleep, and I wake up. I woke up because the phone was ringing, and the phone was ringing. It was Sunday morning. It was like 8:00, and I was like, "Man, who is?" I'm like, "Who is?" I was like, "I know it's probably my mom calling me," and I was like, "I'm not gonna answer the phone." I was like, "Because my mom calling me. She probably calling me to check see if I went to church, which I wasn't going to church."
Right, and look, and if I don't answer, that mean she would think I went to church.
Exactly. So the stopped ringing. And then the call came again. I was like, okay, whoever that is, they're trying to get me. I was like, so I told my girl, I said, answer the phone. So she answered the phone, and it was my boy Zell. And he was like, I could hear him. He was like, yo, what's up? He was like, yo, it's Kyle. Is he around? And she was like, yeah, he's right here. So she put me on the phone, and I was like, yo, man, what's up? And she was like, it's Zell. And I was like, yo, man, what's up? And he kind of paused. I was like, hello? He's heard. And I was like, heard what? He's like, man, nigga, like they killed Biggie. They killed Biggie last night. I was like, man, get the fuck out of here.
Right, exactly.
Because again, there's no internet, so I can't roll over and look at the iPhone and be like, yo, because if we had technology back then, we'd have found out 20 minutes after it happened.
You would have got it. You would have woke up with the text.
Exactly. So he's like, yo, man, turn on MTV. So I turned, same like you, turn on MTV. The first person I seen was Kurt Loder.
Yeah, like, this might be around the same time then, because I was
it had to be, because that's all that particular day. Kurt Loder and I can't remember
the other guy. I know you're talking about the other guy. I know the picture of him in my head who he is. Yeah.
They were the only ones on MTV the whole day, and it was a scroll. And even later on in the day when they went to videos, it was just a scroll. The Notorious B.I.G. Was murdered in Los Angeles. So and so when I saw that, I was like, yo. And so I got off the phone with Zeppelin. I sat up in the bed. I just stared at I couldn't believe it. I like. Even when Pac died, and I was telling somebody, it's funny, I was just having this conversation the other day, like even when Pac was murdered, we heard he got shot, but that's all we heard. We heard he got shot.
And it took 5 days, 5 to 6 days from the dying.
You know what was weird was like, I literally heard that Pac was doing better the day before he died. They said, man, Pac, it was a news report. They said Pac was doing better. And they thought that he would be getting out of the hospital the next week. And then when they came and said he was dead, I was like, no, you got to be kidding. I mean, like, and I was trying to explain, like, especially for somebody who wasn't around at the time, for us, that was a big deal because Biggie and Pac, those were peers.
Yeah.
So see somebody like that on that level. Yeah, we know dudes get killed in the streets and stuff like that.
But this ain't like Drake and J. Cole getting killed.
Exactly.
Or Kendrick and J. Cole, or Kendrick mix anybody else in that mixed bag.
Exactly. In the prime of their career. And I mean, they really, honestly, were just scratching the surface as far as where they were going to go. But it was crazy. And even in the documentary, when they, talked about, Biggie and one thing I wish they would have done, I wish they would have used the interview because they kept showing the last interview he did in the radio station in LA. I wish they had done the interview.
That's actually San Francisco.
Was it?
That's San Francisco. That's in the Bay.
Wow. Okay. So he was in Bay and then he went to LA. Okay.
Yeah, he was just in California, just going up and down the state.
Yeah. The interview he did with Joe Claire, I think, was a week before he was really dope interview.
Where he's sitting at the basketball court or whatever.
Yeah, they just chilling. He was like, he was being honest. He was like, man, he said, man, he was like, I was hurt. He was like, I was hurt. Because Joe Claire asked him to be asked. He was like, man, what did you think about people saying that you had something to do? He's like, man, I'm hurt. He's like, that's my dude. He's like, honestly, when I heard he got shot, I was like, oh, again? Like, he's like, I thought he was gonna pull through. He said, I thought he was gonna pull through, make a couple songs, and make a bunch of money and be pop, So, I wish they'd used that interview because I thought that was a little bit more detailed how he actually felt and how he was moving around when he was in Cali.
I wonder if BT owns that interview though.
Yeah, but I think Puff could have got. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Puff could have got it. Yeah.
Could have got that. But I mean, that's just me being picky. But overall, man, I thought it was a really good documentary. And
have you watched the hip hop drug dealers joint on FX?
Yes, I have. Hip hop.
What do you think? I mean, this is a good segue for we talking about the Biggie and Pac beef. What do you think of how Haitian Jack has been on there?
Haitian Jack really at that particular time, we heard Pac mention him in a song, or a couple songs.
Yeah, all against all odds. When he dropped 50 names on that.
Yes. And to me, Haitian Jack was kind of like the boogeyman. Like I didn't know.
I thought he was bigger than what he was. Like actual physically bigger.
Some little stick-up kid. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was interesting that listening to him, he comes off as believable, but I also know that he used this documentary, or at least bits and pieces of it, to kind of clear himself from whatever Pac implicated him in those songs. Now whether or not the streets believe or not, it's up to everybody else's interpretation. But
I mean, it's just all fishy, man. It's just all fishy with all that stuff.
To be honest, I don't know if for some of this stuff, man, even like in the hip hop uncovered doc, I think some of the stuff will kind of get the pieces to the puzzle because there's so much street stuff, and you're not gonna go talk about street stuff on a documentary. You're just not, because it's complicated. I mean, I came away very impressed with all of them, but Big U, I mean, like how he was rolling, and it's like that dude, like he did a great job of saying a lot without saying a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Nipsey Death.
Yeah, you talking about rolling 60s Crips. I mean, I don't know much about gangs. I don't know much about street stuff. I know about the Crips. I know about the rolling 60s.
Like that's a name that's known as rolling 60s.
And I know that they are people who are very well connected and very well respected and not disrespected and not just LA, but just all over, because they spread, and a guy like that, he's and it's interesting to see how, street people, even Deb, their imprint on some of the stars that we came up seeing.
So, I mean, and I always tell people, like, I mean, like, Pac was probably a lot of things, man, but I could see how he was upset at certain people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like if I came to your house, Kyle, and I'm walking up to the front door and somebody robs me in front of your crib and I get shot, I'm gonna be like, yo, Kyle, what the fuck is going? What the fuck?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm coming to your crib and I get robbed right in front of your crib and y'all all still straightened inside. But I get robbed.
Right. And you're not out there fighting for me?
But I get it from Biggie's too, though. Like I can't say anything because it was street stuff
Mm-hmm.
that was getting involved with that. But then from Pop perspective, it's like, well, damn, you ain't ride with me. All right, well, you're the name that I can go after because I can't go after Haitian Jack or King Tut or any of the other people that they name all the time within the street stuff because they're not. This doesn't mean anything. But I can go after you and Puffy.
Right.
Especially get them by proxy.
Exactly, especially Puff, because at that particular time, it was a lot of stuff on. And I mean, like, and obviously didn't touch in it in the documentary, and they're not, that documentary really specifically wasn't for, trying to solve his murder or whatever like that. But, if you were around in that particular time, you know that at the height of the
Puffy got Biggie killed.
I won't say that he got him killed, but I will say that
some of his moves set the wheels in motion.
Yeah, I think I think part of what the puzzle that I was able to kind of put together was that at the height of the Bad Boy Death Row beef or whatever like that, Suge and them at Death Row were Bloods.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, and again, I ain't no street dude. He hired some Crips, and I think that he was, anytime they needed security or whatever the case may be, especially if they came out to the West Coast, it was going to be okay. I got to get, get the Crips or whatever like that. So I think what happened was after Pac was killed, and Death Row wasn't really Death Row at the time because I think Snoop had either left or
Snoop dropped the Dogfather right after that. And it flopped, and then basically he left, and only person left was Daz, I think.
Daz and so at that particular, and Suge was he's in and out of court or whatever like
jail.
That.
He had his jail situation, so he can't run the label.
Yeah, so Puff was on some, what I need the Crips for. We good. We out here. I don't need the Crips because Death Row ain't Death Row.
Yeah, our biggest Suge in jail.
In jail, Pac is dead. What we need protection for? And I think that ultimately led to somebody. And again, I wouldn't say that Puff knows who did it, but people in LA know who did it, and I don't even know that if the person who did it is still around. To be honest,
yeah, they said that the guy that did it is dead.
Yeah, it's just, I think more than anything else, and it's funny because I was having this conversation with my son. He's a Tupac fan, and he's young. He's only 18, but he gravitated to Pac's music. But he was asking me some questions. I really appreciated him asking me those questions.
That's good though, Kyle. Like you have to think how many parents don't get that, like where they just go off and do something, don't even try to ask you like what was the experience of being there then,
And we have a lot of conversations about the music, and we have a lot, and he's one of the few kids that I know his age that is genuinely interested in the 90s era of music. That's primarily the Uzi, and he'll listen to a song or two, but he's really into the music that I came up on. And partly it's because I played it around him, but also he just, he had just a kind of thirst for knowledge as far as music. But he was asking me, he's like, well, what do you think about Pac? Do you think that this, and he's watched some documentaries or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was something else. I said, it's just sad. I was like, because we could have never, I know you, same thing. We could have never predicted that we would lose Biggie and Pac in such a fashion.
6 months.
Yeah, in 6 months apart. And nobody went to jail. Nobody know nothing. I mean, and Pac got killed on the Vegas Strip. It was bumper to bumper traffic.
Yeah.
There's somebody shooting into a car and be like, oh no, I didn't see nothing. Now Suge told his people not to say anything.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Street code. But do you think that when you talk about Puff, do you think that the thing is true about them trying to get the Death Row chain? And I was like, that's why I'm saying I think it's a calamity of that. Of like, well, it starts from the Wolf situation. Wolf and that's where they whole beef jumped off as from Atlanta at Jamie. I call him Jamie Dupree at Jamie Dupree's birthday party, and
Why you call him Jamie?
Jamie Dupree's birthday party, and it all jumps off between Wolf and I guess Suge's best friend Buntry. Is it Buntry? It was Buntry, right, or something like that. One of them.
Yeah.
And Wolf kills him. Then fast forward for people that want to stay in a timeline. Big Meech kills Wolf. If you want to go in the future, you know that, right?
You know what, man?
You didn't know Big Meech kills Wolf.
I remember.
That's when Meech gets shot in the butt.
I was living here at the time. I had moved here by then, and the area where Wolf got killed, and Wolf was one of Puff's guys. Was that area was like really. Was. Yeah. It's called Buckhead in Atlanta, and Buckhead was like this real crazy party district. Like, it was a place where you could
shut that down. No, they shut the party district down over
in Buckhead. The nail in the coffin for Buckhead was the Ray Lewis murders.
Oh,
that was the nail in the coffin. Yeah, because what would happen is in Buckhead they would have like quote unquote black nights. You know, like the clubs would have hip hop nights or whatever like that. And so let's say a club that normally would have, you know, I guess white people coming or whatever like that. Let's say on Thursday nights it's hip hop night. So if you got hip hop night, you're gonna have black people coming in. You know what I'm saying? And so it was Super Bowl weekend, 2000.
Yeah, when the Rams won.
When the Rams won at the end of the game, and and so two guys get killed. Ray was implicated, indicted for murder. Buckhead changed after that. They were just like not a party district anymore because it went from being this, you know, nice party area for affluent whites to live, and black people came and property values going down. You know, and we can't do this. So ultimately, it took about 10 years or so, but then they shut Buckhead. Buckhead no longer just not like that. And now you don't want to go to Buckhead because Buckhead is where Lenox Mall is, and if you're familiar with Lenox Mall, there's been a lot of shootings there.
So Buckhead is hood now.
I'll put it like this, D. I don't go to Buckhead. And there's not any place that I'm afraid to walk. I'm smart about where I walk. Right. So I'm pretty sure like for you it's certain point. I mean, you could go in any neighborhood in St. Louis.
Yeah. But certain ones are like, we ain't gonna be here this long.
Right.
I gotta have a full purpose. Or I got a full purpose. Like I'm directly going to this address.
Exactly. That ain't no place to hang. Nah, I can't tell you last time I hung out in Buckhead. Atlanta's different, man. It's and I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but it's changed. It's changed. In some ways for the better. In a lot of ways, it's changed for the worse. I mean, I still love it here. I still love living. I've lived here longer than I've lived any place else. I've been here almost 23 years now. And but yeah, that changed everything. But going back to Wolf, when he got murdered, all of that stuff, it was like domino effects, man. So I think, you know, I don't know if Puffy knows who killed Biggie, but I know that he probably feels some type, and it might be a lot, but he feels some type of, there's probably some
responsibility, some type of responsibility. Because the whole thing is like the death row chain, let me get the death row chain, and then that Pac goes after the dude that stole the death row chain or tried to, and then Suge gets mad because this happens and he tries to retaliate. So you look at it in the Final Destination. If you put up your board, everybody put up their board on the wall with the pegs and your strings. It goes back to Puffy.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's like I was telling my son, it's just sad. I was
we'll never know, man. I've given up on it.
We'll never know, because ultimately the people who were there getting further and further along, where, you know, a lot of stuff becomes so much, and because we didn't have the internet, you know, and then there's a lot of street stuff, people are not going to say but so much. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of rumor in the window, like you said about Haitian Jack. Like, to me, he seemed like a boogeyman because we didn't know anything about him, but it was always just always some street shit. And some pieces and to the puzzle that were involved with Biggie and Pac and their murders. And it's some of their stories will never get told, but I really felt good that we got a chance to hear not so much about their death, but and the one thing you have to keep in mind about this documentary, it doesn't cover that long of a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
324 when he was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't old at all, relatively speaking. But and
it's so
his
interesting
rise.
too. You talking about Haitian Jack, man? He looks like he's still trying to live in the 90s, though, don't he?
With the bandana.
Yeah. And I remember when I first saw a picture of him, I was like, that's Haitian Jack?
Yeah.
I might have been maybe going into college or in college, maybe like 98 or 99. I'm like, and it's early internet, y'all, where you can actually go on Yahoo and Google something. You like, or somebody send you an email like, yo, this is Haitian Jack. I found a picture of him. And it take 5 minutes for the picture to download. And you like, dang, that's Haitian Jack?
Yeah.
The dude with the bandana around his hand and around his neck, looking like a cowboy?
And it wasn't even in watching this documentary, even in watching this Hip Hop Uncovered, it wasn't until like maybe episode 4 that I realized that he wasn't in the United States. I didn't realize.
He got deported.
Yeah, he got deported. But we're watching it, and I'm like, we kept seeing the scene with them, the 4 of them sitting in this house or sitting outside, or him sitting in like, well, he's in a nice area, and then it kind of dawned like, okay, well he got. I was like, oh, he got deported, and he ain't never come back. Okay, got it, okay.
Because it was this article, man, I read that was a not New York Times, LA Times article. It was so in depth, man. Maybe I read it around like 2009, 2010, and or somewhere around there, and it broke down Haitian Jack for how his whole LA experience and like how he got locked up, how he got deported, all that stuff. The article didn't go into what he was saying with that. The article, from what I saw, what they said in that was the U.S. was getting his black ass up out of here regardless of whatever he was talking about with his lawyer, talking about on a Hip Hop Uncovered, talking about I told my lawyer not to. From that article, it seemed like they was trying to get his black ass up out of this country ASAP.
He had no choice.
Yeah, like it didn't feel like it was no choice in that article.
Do you think with the documentary, do you think man, I just lost the track what I was gonna say. If Biggie were still alive, I know you've probably heard 1,000 times. If Biggie were still alive,
I thought about this in my head.
You think Jay-Z would be?
Not at all.
Do you think he'd be the same, or you think
not
he'd
at all?
Bigger?
Him and his wife have benefited from the most deaths of any artist ever.
Wait a minute, what? Why Beyonce catch a hollow?
Oh no. If Aaliyah didn't die, she ain't got no space.
Oh,
them as a couple got 2 bodies on them.
Wow.
Unofficially, not for real. but I'm saying it's like when your grandparents die, somebody show up to get that fur. You know what I'm saying? To get that nice mink fur.
Try to claim somebody else.
Kill them, but you showing up when you get that mink when Big Mama died.
You stupid.
But no, they both benefited heavily.
Okay. I
because
think,
you gotta think New York was sitting in a disarray, and really, as much as Nas would have loved, it tried to hold, he's not if you want, you've seen The Godfather, right?
Yeah.
He's not a wartime consigliere. He's not a wartime king in New York, and New York needed somebody that could really hold down New York. And Nas isn't built for that. And I love Nas. He's not proactively aggressive like Jay would have been to hold down New York.
Okay, gotcha.
So he was able to seize that and do that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And he's got all the profile of it. He's really the updated, better version of what Biggie could have been.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not going to get into too much shit. I got enough street credibility to get me in these doors, but I ain't really doing it as much, but I got the credibility to be able to get into rooms.
So you think Jay would have been?
Who could Jay would have been? Jay would have been AZ.
Wow.
Jay would be AZ.
Okay. You know,
And we still love AZ, but I'm saying we'd have been like, yo, Jay still
no
grinding.
doubt, no doubt.
You know what I'm
No
saying?
doubt.
He just never got to that level because of this homeboy who he with. AZ was never gonna get that far because he's associated with Nas.
I think we because we're hit, like you said, we're heads. We've heard that question 1,000 times and heard people debate about it and everything.
I think both
like
of them
that.
would have been doing some shit we wouldn't have liked.
It's interesting, man. I don't know.
Kyle, I think they would have been doing some trap shit right now, Kyle. Kyle, I'm telling you, I could see Biggie being like, I mean, I fuck with these Migos guys, you know what I'm saying? You know, they from Gwinnett County, you know, I'm from BK. They similar.
So if Big had lived, you think he would have been?
He comes from the factory of Puffy.
Okay. But then Puff benefited probably more from Big's death than anybody else. So Puff doesn't become.
It's a loss of dimension returns though. It's like weird. It's like you benefited for a short period, but long term you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
He got those 3, 4. So Piggy died 97. I'm gonna give Puff room to 04. When what was the when he did Bad Boy for Life? I'm gonna give it to 04.
Okay, so
he had a 7-year run, but he may have had a longer run. But then on the other side of it, you hear other stuff that's saying Biggie was trying to leave and he started Undias with Un.
Exactly.
So you look at it from kind of was he leaving the label? He already got Junior Mafia popping. You know, he's already got Kim was ready to go. Like,
and here in Baltimore.
Oh man, dude, Lil Kim's career would have been the best rapper of all time, but she'd have been written for, but still the best rapper of all time if Biggie would have lived.
So with this idea,
he'd have been on the Migos track though too at the same time.
I'm trying to pick Biggie on the.
Hold on. He'd have been on the snap beat first in the early 2000s. That's what got you mad started at the beginning on that remix to Lean With It, Pop With It.
If Biggie would have been on Lean With It, Pop Rock with
it, he would have. I'm leaning with it, bro.
I would have kicked Biggie in his damn chin.
Rick Ross would have been here either. That's another person that wouldn't have been here.
Yeah. Now the game definitely would have changed. It would have been. There would have been a domino effect. So if Jay-Z, so I had an idea about a podcast, and I was kind of kicking around. Just a rough draft of the idea, and the podcast is going to be called "The Rise and Fall of Bad Boy." So my question to you, if Bad Boy, did Bad Boy fall off when Biggie died? Was that the beginning of the?
I think Biggie dying helped them as a label out for a period and gave them a boost.
Okay.
But I think long term for Sean Combs, it wasn't the best.
Right.
Think about if Biggie was alive and he was able to push some of the records more. If he owns his publishing, like you were saying, you're getting more out of that because now I'm getting money from all the Biggie shows because I own the publishing. I'm getting all this different stuff going on, but then you can look on the flip side that it wouldn't have been worth as much if Biggie was still alive either, though.
Right.
Because he would have been on the Lean With It, Pop With It remix, and it would have drowned out the Big Papas.
That's an interesting point, man. Because like I'm still trying to figure out like what was the
because R&B wise. Bad Boy was dope R&B wise. Dope.
Okay, so they had 112. They had Faith. They had
Carl Thomas.
Total. Okay. So
Mario Winans.
Okay, you're right. So okay,
so Dennis.
Right.
And towards the end, Cherie Dennis. They had R&B. That was it's low key one of the best R&B labels ever in history.
Okay, so you're right. So then the death actually propelled the label, but it wasn't the beginning. Okay, I see where you're coming from.
And you know, the reason I would say actually, you know what? It is the death because Puffy didn't lean into the R&B as much as he should have, and he wanted to keep it hip hop, but he should have saw that this is an R&B label now.
Mm-hmm.
This is Motown now. This is not Bad Boy anymore.
And he really just didn't
Because he
have
kept trying to
that. I
find
mean,
another Biggie.
yeah, you couldn't. I mean, Sean wasn't going to do it. I mean,
Mace, he
he
tried
had
to
Mace.
make Mason to it.
He had Mace. But other than that, I mean, Black Rob was there. G
Dep.
Dep. Uh,
But I'm saying, but he was trying to. If he would have leaned into the R&B side of it, it could have been amazing.
True.
He didn't lean into the artist that was the most popular. Total, Faith Evans, Carl Thomas, Mario Winans. Like, what are you doing? You worried about Kane? What was it? What was the one white guy he had on the label when he tried to rejuvenate Kane or whatever?
Yeah, the white guy on the, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, this before it was a white dude named Kane, man. But remember when Bad Boy for Life, that Bad Boy compilation album.
Yeah.
That dope ass 8-Ball MJG song on there that leads out the double. It was a double disc. Remember?
Was it not the No Way Out album?
No. This is like 2002 or 3.
Okay, so that would be what's the name of that joint?
This is right around Bad Boy. It was Bad Boy for Life is on that album.
Okay.
And he had all. That's when what was it? Mark Curry and all these other random
dudes
rapping. Yeah. And you not leaning into Total and Carl Thomas and Faith Evans. You're not really pushing them, but you worried about trying to be in the rap side so much. Puffy wanted to be street so bad, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Saga Continues.
Oh, okay.
2001. Yep, Bad Boy for Life is the second single off of there. Let's Get It is the first single.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a compilation. Who's all on here, man? It was a dude. I remember them being on The Basement with him, and it was a dude named Kane. And I was like, yep, it is Kane. He's on number 12 song, Where's Shine? Kane with a K. I knew that white boy. He's on number 17 too. Yeah, I remember that white boy. I was like, it was before wow, Cherie Dennis was on this album. And it's 2001. You gotta think she didn't drop to what, 06?
Damn.
That's what I'm saying. He had all these good R&B artists, man. That Can't Believe is on here with Faith and Carl Thomas.
I remember that joint.
Yeah, he didn't lean into the R&B, man. And really, Puffy's way more successful to me with his R&B acts.
Oh, definitely.
In his rap acts.
Because I think he just couldn't get that. I mean, we remember him doing the band and reality TV and all that stuff. Like he couldn't get that. He couldn't get that the superstars that he had, and Craig Mack was a superstar. The superstar he had in Biggie, he couldn't replace. Yeah, he just couldn't. And I mean,
but he had R&B people like Faith was sitting right there, ready to sing her heart out for you every record.
No question, all the time. Carl, Thomas,
and then you had Total. You got Total. Cass was loving Keisha from Total. Like you got that. You know what I'm saying? Like you got Carl Thomas who was doing it. Because I heard an interview with Too Short. They said that was Carl Thomas's song, The World Is Filled.
Really?
That was a Carl Thomas song that they said. So he said he came in and Carl Thomas had 2 verses to that already.
Wow.
And they took him off and added Biggie and him on it.
Okay.
Let's just say Carl Thomas.
That's crazy. That's crazy when you think about it.
So do you think if the commission would have been, I'm gonna up you with this. Do you think that the commission would have popped or would have been something like the No Limit albums we never saw that came out?
I think it could have been bigger than that. I think Biggie, I remember Biggie, like you said, at the time of his death, he was talking about doing a commission with him and Jay-Z.
And Foxy Brown, and not Foxy Brown, and Charlie Baltimore.
And he also had a clothing line because I had like 3 T-shirts. It's called Brooklyn.
He had a clothing line?
Yeah, it was a really small clothing line, but I don't even know if it was his clothing line. It was clothes that he was sporting and he was supporting.
Okay.
And it was called Brooklyn Mint. And it was I had 3 shirts.
Okay. I remember that. I didn't know Biggie was associated with it though.
He was associated with that. I don't even know if he had anything other than shirts and hoodies. I don't even think he had expanded the jeans.
Because he wore that hoodie on Martin.
Yep. That was a Brooklyn Mint hoodie. And but I think the sky would have been. I mean, no pun intended. The sky would have been the limit for them. Because at that time Jay was bubbling, and Charlie Baltimore was a fresh face, and so it's like you just don't. I mean, like that's one of those things that you just like. It's unanswered questions. Like you just never know what could have been, because I think he had a blueprint, but I think he also knew that he had, like you said, he had Junior Mafia over here. He had another business sense of, okay, well, hey, if I can get this thing popping off right here, I don't have to be out here rapping all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it. Just listening to like his story and hearing his mother talk about him, that leads me to believe that I think he could have done it. And it's unfortunate that he just didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, because I mean, even think the same thing with Pac, man, when he was starting the One Nation label, with that album's gonna be hard. It was gonna be with Black Moon on there, Nice and Smooth. It was all them was gonna be under Pac's label.
Man, that would have been crazy. And that's another guy that literally the sky would have been the limit. I mean, like, can you imagine? Can you imagine militant Tupac going through this past election cycle that we just had?
See, the problem is Tupac would have been on Lean With It, Rock With It remix too, the reunion. That's the only problem you're forgetting, Kyle.
Yeah, Pac would have been out there cussing out Trump and everybody.
Right, but he would have been on that remix to no, he wouldn't have been on. He would have been on that Shorty Low They Know remix. It's Pac. And I'm here.
Yeah, Pac would have had a hit.
I just think that everybody that sells out to a certain extent at some point.
I mean, to some degree, yeah, because you want to get to a certain level. But I just think, man, it's those guys, man. They had something special in them. And
yeah,
I think
I agree.
Not only did they have something special in them, but they demanded, a certain level of respect. And I think, if we have those guys, and if you got a Pac, maybe you don't have, these kids wilding out. And now, granted, if Pac would have still been alive, he'd probably be about 50 now. So,
yeah,
they'd be calling Pac, he'd be yelling at him about walking around with their pants.
He'd be Lord Jamar.
Exactly.
Shout out to Jamar. I love George Jamar, but I'm just saying he would be like mad at all the young cats.
Hey, man, but you know what? But in hip hop, that's what you need. You need the elders, and I mean, like we've all had elders in hip hop. Even when hip hop was at its infancy, it still had elders. And I tell people all the time, like, don't get it twisted. Like, even when young LL was ripping shit, Melly Mel ain't like LL. He didn't like the way LL dressed.
Nobody liked LL on the low. People don't talk about that. Nobody liked LL back then.
LL was dressing street. He had on joy stuff on his album cover. Melly Mel and them, they had on furs and all kind of habits and all kind of crazy shit. So rap was different then. And so then Run DMC changed everything. And then you had your Public Enemies, Kane, Rakim, and on further on down the road. So there's always going to be a certain level of, seniority, and then, the generation looking to pull, I guess, the next generation of MCs and rappers along. But, somehow along the way, when the money really got involved, we lost that connection. And, to be honest, as elders in hip hop, we'll never get that time back. And in the pursuit of money, we left some of the generation behind. Yeah, so we couldn't pass the baton, because when we went to turn to give it to them, they weren't there. But we can't blame them.
And on top of it, we made this genre a young man's game, because I mean, I even look at Pac with that line when he was like, all these old rappers looking flabby and sick and up on my dick. And I was like, damn, man. I mean, I love the lyric then, but then you look back and you like, well, damn, man, there's nothing wrong with a rapper doing an album at 50 years old. There's not a damn problem with it.
Nah, and it's, you're right. It's become a young man's game. And I think the thing is that, but you need to get old, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get old. And if you're supposed to get old, and you're supposed to be an old head, and you're supposed to have wisdom, and you're supposed to teach the young people a little something about what you learned.
But I need some of these old rappers, man, to stop trying to be young, no, Kyle. Busta Rhymes was on that thing for a while, man, where I was like, what is Busta Rhymes doing?
You know what I'm gonna need? I'm gonna need Jay-Z to cut his hair.
Yeah.
They need to cut his hair, man.
Well, no,
Come on.
I'm not too mad at him. This is like when you like
Nah,
the
man,
world kind of hairstyle.
he been rapping good since he did all of that.
Oh, you said
when
his you said he ain't been rapping good since then.
you know what? I take that back. I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. There might not be a bigger Jay-Z fan than me, but I don't think Jay is rapping like when I heard him on the new joint with Nipsey.
Mm-hmm.
That's Hove. That's what I remember. That's Hove right there. Jay-Z. Now there's a difference between Jay-Z and Hove.
It's very different. There's a very big difference.
You know, but these last couple albums, that's just been Jay-Z to me. And so it's changing. You know what Jay-Z is? Jay-Z he's the guy in basketball that used to average 34 a game. Now he averaged like 18. And 18 is cool because he can drop 35 on you.
But he don't want to average more than 18 because it's not worth it.
No,
it's not worth it. His team is not going to win any more games if he averages 34.
Exactly. So he's cool and content with the 18. But as those of us in the stands know that you capable of dropping 35, 40 a night.
But then you're scared as another artist to poke that bear either, though, because he can drop 34 on a night on you. Might even drop 50 on you one night just to offset the average.
Of course. But and to your point about aging, and I talked about this on my podcast before, like we should allow our rappers to get older because rap is the only generation where we tell you you're too old to do that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody told me. They're like 85 years old. Elton John is 105 years old. He's still nobody's telling him. Yeah, but you hit 40, 45, 50, people telling rappers.
It's interesting that the two people that benefited maybe the most off of those artists dying, Jay-Z and Nas, are the ones pushing forward the idea that you could still rap. And so maybe Pac and Big would have been doing what Jay-Z and Nas are doing now.
Exactly. And here's the thing that people don't understand. And I, anybody younger, I want them to understand is that you're going to get older. God willing.
That's the only thing you can't stop is time.
You can't stop it. So it's like, when you get older, you want to be able to look back and say, okay, well, hey, this particular era was this. And you still want to be able to appreciate the music. I'm all for anybody still making music if you're making good music. Because it might be some 50-year-old rappers that can't, 25-year-olds that can't rap, but they're on TV, on the radio, and the whole nine. So, I think you have to kind of balance everything, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, all the MCs we had back in the day weren't good, you know what I'm saying, at the same time. But at the same time, we had higher standards to even get involved in the game. And a lot of it had to do, the street culture really is so weird because both the street culture and commercialism both just fucked up hip hop on two different areas. You know what I'm saying? Like the commercial side was trying to eat, and then the drug dealers was feeling like, boy, I could clean my money up by jumping in here. And commercial people, well, I could get credibility within the urban community if I jump in here. So everybody was incestuously, like parasitically on hip hop. From both ends. It's like the left and the right ended up eating off of it.
Yep. Everything changed when money got involved because, from Sugar Hill Gang to Curtis Blow to, Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel and Furious 5, those because they just wanted to rap. They wanted to rock a party. LL and them, Run DMC, Kane, Rakim, they wanted to show you how nice they were. But by the time the 90s rolled around, early 90s, mid 90s.
And I guess people try to blame it on Hammer. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's the one. That's the first one, I'm assuming. I guess LL a little bit though too.
I don't necessarily. I'm gonna tell you why I don't blame Hammer because Hammer was vilified for the success that he had.
Right. He just took the opportunities that was sitting there in front of him.
Yeah, he didn't set out. He didn't go and we listen to rap, so he didn't go into a studio and say, "Yo, I'm gonna make a pop rap album." He didn't do that. The Rick James sample and all of that stuff. yeah, that stuff was radio friendly. And he was just trying to get on the radio. And what he didn't know was going to happen was everything was going to blow up. So I don't blame Hammer. Hammer was, vilified.
And then let's get it started and turn his mother out of hard songs. Don't get it twisted. That first album is hard from Hammer.
Exactly. And you know what, D? Everybody had that album. No matter how much, everybody in their mama had that album.
I mean, it's the first Diamond hip hop album.
Yeah, it's just like Thriller. Everybody got Thriller. I don't care. You could be a white supremacist. You got Thriller. Everybody got
so they didn't sell all these records. They didn't sell all these records just in the hood.
Bro, you got 70 million copies sold worldwide. That means everybody in the world had that album. And for Hammer to go diamond as a rapper, when you on MTV, you got your own cartoon, you got your own cereal. Come on, man. I ain't
get your own
Hammer for that because he didn't. Yeah, he went to the studio saying, "Okay, hey, let's make this." He made what he thought was going to be something that could get him on the radio and get him when he would perform. And I can't knock Hammer for that. He caught a lot of flack for that, but he was just trying to make a good record.
And ain't nobody said that to him though, in his face.
No. I did not know Hammer was as gangster as he was until later on.
They said he put a hit on MC Search.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hammer don't. I remember seeing a interview. It was Redman. Redman
said about the Search thing.
Yeah. He said something slick about Hammer, something like that. And he said Hammer saw him in the street. And Hammer was just like, you don't need to be talking about me. And Redman kind of dressed it up, but he said, Hammer quietly punked him. And he was like, okay, you got it, bro. And Redman ain't no punk.
No.
But Redman, he said he had to back down. So he was just like, people don't get it twisted by the shoes and the parachute pants. Like Hammer was official.
Yeah, Stanley ain't no joke.
It's really about, the OGs and really, but if you want this medium and this music to grow, you're going to have to grow with the music. I don't really necessarily look 10 years. It'll still be here, but how will it look? It'll be, I don't, and it's funny because I used to tease my sons all the time. I'm like, y'all not going to be bumping Soulja Boy 5 years from now. I was like, because y'all in an era where the record labels are more concerned with a hit. So they're not concerned with records. We talk about Ready to Die as an album. We talk about Reasonable Doubt we talk about Doggy Style as an album. These are albums that you can still go back and listen to, and they don't sound dated, and they don't sound
and they don't have album cuts no more. Like where you just like, yo, that's just the joint, my joint off the album.
You were talking earlier about the snap rap. That era that killed albums.
Yeah,
because artists realized. Yeah, that ringtone era in the early 2000s, whatever like that. That was one of the things that helped kill rap, because record labels realized, okay, well, hey, we can sell. We ain't got to, because the record labels were kind of reeling as far as like this was the post internet sharing era.
So Napster just got shut down.
Napster just gotten shut down. So now you're figuring out, okay, how can we make money? We're losing all this money because these people is online and people are just streaming, and they're not streaming. They're sharing and don't have to pay for the album. So, okay, you can go into the studio, lean with it, rock with it, make it a ringtone or Laffy Taffy. That's what it is.
Laffy Taffy. That's it. That's the quintessential one.
You can make Laffy Taffy, make it a ringtone, and the artist can get, I don't know, $50,000. We make 100, and we'll be straight. We can keep ourselves afloat. And then so at that point, record labels just like, okay, hey, we will just push singles. We don't care who's hot. So Trinidad James, come on in here. We'll take you. We'll take you. So after that, it was just about who has the hot single. So it's like now, rap is in a place where that's what it is. So yeah, they'll take, and don't get me wrong, I ain't got no issues with Meg or Nicki Minaj or Rick Ross, any of those people. But a lot of times that's what their music sounds like. It's just the hot single. Okay, Cardi's dope. You know, she has her fan base. You know, but will you be listening? Will you want to care about what Cardi has to say when she doesn't look the way that she does 10 years, you know, or 5 years from now? You know, same for
Yeah.
Meg, same for Nick. You know, and not just I'm not picking on women, but you know, it's funny because me and we were talking the other day, and we were talking about Bobby Schmurder coming home, and he was like, "Man, people going crazy over this dude, and he got like one single." I was like, "Yeah, I
Dude,
guess."
he's got two Bobby bitch. There's the other one.
Oh, I don't even know that one.
See, and I'm sorry, I'm sad. And so then even crazier, you talk about like the newer cats when we talk about like towards Biggie and Pac and them. Like it's funny because I look at like you said, a Bobby Shmurda or somebody that I realized that got smart, and you're gonna be laughed when I said is my man YBN Corday. He dropped the YBN niggas, and now he's just Corday now.
Smart. And
Because
he
them
can
other
rap.
cats is whack. Like whack. And they met each other. You know how they met? They met on Grand Theft Auto online.
Oh wow.
And decided to make a rap group.
Yeah, I dropped them too.
He didn't consult that none of these other cats can rhyme, and you the only one that can rhyme. Because that YB and Corday album was phenomenal. I don't know if
That's
you heard
what
it.
I got to go back and let my son told me.
It's like, good. Like Kyle, it was close to being the best album of last year.
Wow. Okay,
it's that good, man. It's that good.
The other day, he said, Corday is one of my favorite. He's like, Dad, you need to go. And normally, if he says, Dad, you need to go listen, I'll go listen.
Right, because he knows your taste. He can't put you with, the new the lost taste of Shorty Low.
Hey man, you gonna stop talking bad about the late great Shorty Low?
Oh no, I love Shorty Low. Look, Shorty Low is my spirit animal, man. Like, dude, he is my spirit, man. I love Shorty Low. They took his body around in the strip clubs after when he died. That is amazing.
Yeah, it was so sad, man. Sad when Shorty Low died.
He died like drunk driving, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
He died, but then everybody else in the car was like walking around straight. Like he was the only one that died.
What was interesting was he put up an Instagram post the night that he passed. He was at Blue Flame. It's a famous strip club here in Atlanta. And he was at the Flame, turned up, having a good time. He was drinking. And the videos kind of implicate that he was drunk. And so like after he left, it was like him and two other people. They left and they were headed home or whatever like that. Ran off the road, hit a tree or something like that. The people that were in the car were able to get out, and they were scratched up, but not, hit or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think he was, when the car hit the tree, he was ejected from the car
because he had no seatbelt on.
Yeah, because he had a seatbelt on. Yeah, it's crazy. Shorty Low.
Well, Kyle, man, let everybody know where they can hit you up at, man.
Oh, no doubt, man. First of all, again, thanks for letting me come on here,
man. Yeah, man, we didn't even talk about the Source Awards, man. We still got to come back to that at some point.
Yeah, we can definitely do that, man.
DJ Quick part, man, before anybody knows, if anybody get a chance, go rewatch the Source Awards. DJ Quick is not rapping to the crowd. He's rapping to MC8 who's in the fifth row. The song is about him called Dollars Don't Make Sense.
Dollars don't make sense. That 95 Source Awards, man, was crazy.
You forgot the G because the G ain't in you.
And the funny thing is, like, it's
so disrespectful, but very like slightly disrespectful.
And it's on YouTube. They do Death Row does a tribute. I mean, do a medley of different songs or whatever. Death Row was killing at the time, and Pac was in jail at the time.
So they did it on the jail cells.
They had these cages on stage. Exactly, they had these jail cells on the stage, and there's a cardboard cutout of Tupac. So that like. There was kind of like a subliminal, they were kind of shouting him out because at that particular time, Pac was in jail and he had not been released yet.
No.
So
he didn't get bail yet or nothing.
Exactly. So Suge was kind of sending a message like, we with you, and Suge actually shouted him out, before
Tupac hold your head.
So it was well played, but yeah, you can check my podcast. It's called the 12 Kyle Podcast. On the podcast, I talk about a little bit of everything. Of course, I'm gonna talk hip hop, talk about music, talk about dating, relationships, love, sex, sports. I spend a lot of time on the podcast talking about, kind of some of the things that we talked about our childhood, just coming up in the 80s and 90s. So I do a lot of those podcasts as well. A little bit of everything. The podcast, you can find the podcast anywhere where podcasts are free. There's a new podcast every Thursday at midnight. So check out the 12 Kyle Podcast. If you listen to one, you listen to another one, I promise.
Yeah, man. Like you and Eclectic too with y'all joints be killing me.
Yeah, man. We try to drop. Yeah, oh man, the drafts have been for. We do those on the Eclectic podcast.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'll be peeping them too.
Yeah, we have fun with those, man. We just recorded about 5 of them last week, so we got more coming up. Man, we've done drafts on chicken. We've done drafts on Eddie Murphy movies, Denzel movies. We've done drafts. NBA players, 80s quarterbacks, all kind of stuff, man. So check that out, man. We have a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thank y'all for listening to this. We're gonna do a source one, man. I mean, we got that is a fascinating. I don't know why nobody did no documentary on just the Source Awards, 95 Source Awards.
Man, it is
because it's so many. You got to remember, people don't understand that it was different generations of hip hop in there at the same time too. You have Salt and Pepper and Kid and Play there at the same time that the Wu-Tang Clan is there. This is like basically early 90s versus what's going to be coming in the future of hip hop in the same building.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. I mean, like, people remember a couple of things. Obviously, remember Suge and Puff. They remember Outkast getting many of the things that happened at that particular award show. Like, to the point where, I mean, they don't even have those kind of awards now. And even the hip hop awards they have now, like the BET awards, I mean, they're tape delayed and they're made like 2 months in advance. Like, wow. And that was on live TV.
Yes.
That's crazy.
So no, what's even crazier is I look back at the awards. I see how other artists from other regions were getting pissed off. If you look at Biggie won every category damn near.
And here's the thing. Biggie was, I want to say, the 95 Source Awards, Biggie won Lyrics of the Year. And 94, he won the Lyrics of the Year too. And that's the same year Illmatic. I'm not giving Biggie Lyrics of the Year over Nas's Illmatic.
Yeah.
Come on. 2 years in a row. And I think 95 he won what? 4 awards, I think.
He won 4 that night, man. Because he got Album of the Year. He got Lyricist of the Year. He got Single of the Year, Best Feature of the Year, or something like that. And I was like, damn. Only other person that won something that I can remember was Dre.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, it was just Biggie and the West Coast. That was it. Dre.
Because I think Death Row won Label of the Year, right? I think they won Label of the Year. And that's why Suge was up there.
Suge won. No, I think Suge was up there for the soundtrack of the year because he
right. Was it for Above the Rim?
Above the Rim. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Crazy time. But yeah, we, like you said, that should be the next documentary, to be honest.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's the 95 Source Awards. But man, Kyle, thank you for coming on, man.
Always, man. Always. Appreciate it.